Good morning, actually it's good afternoon, to my last full day in Beirut in Lebanon. So far I've spent a couple of days in the city to start with, just exploring on my own, and then I've done a day trip to Byblos and I've done a day trip to Chauen, which I've got vlogs for, so if you haven't seen them then make sure you check those out. And then I realised it's my last day in Beirut and I haven't actually shown you Beirut. So what I'm going to do this afternoon is head straight out and just have a little bit of a walk around, go to a few of the spots that I've really loved since I've been here and places that I still need to visit, talk about leaving it to the last minute. I'm going to show you them and show you around Beirut, and so it will give you an idea of what the city is like. If you are coming here, it will give you an idea of some things to do, and yeah, I think you're going to enjoy it, so let's go. Firstly, let me show you what I'm wearing. Now, Beirut is quite a liberal city actually, so I'm not really offending anyone by just having my legs out and my shoulders, and I may get a few stares, but I'm probably going to get stares anyway, so I figure it's 30 degrees outside, so this is what I'm going to wear. I am staying at the Grand Meshmosh Hotel, which is in the area of Gemmayze. Now it's a pretty cool area, a little bit hipster, a little bit arty and creative, as you can see by this artwork behind me. So I will show you around there first, and then we're going to head towards the mosque and the souks. The traffic in Beirut is crazy. They just drive all over the place, don't stop at the green lights, just constantly beeping. Okay, so in the area I am in now, there are like 4 pretty impressive things. One I'm going to say, by the way, I'm sorry if there's wind noise or not very good quality noise here, because I didn't want to put my microphone on, which kind of blocks that, because there are a lot of army men around and they're quite paranoid about spies, and when I have the microphone on there it just looks even weirder. I know they won't mind me filming once they check what I'm filming, but I just don't really want to draw attention to myself. The second thing is a lot of these facts that I've learned on the free walking tour of Beirut that I did on Tuesday night at 5 o'clock, so if you are in Beirut on a Tuesday I would definitely recommend doing that. So firstly, there is the Blue Mosque, which is so impressive. I went in there the other day, very new actually. It was built like early 2000s, cost a lot of money. And then right next door to that there is a church, so it's quite interesting to see obviously both really close together, and that just really shows kind of Beirut and Lebanon, because very open here. There are lots of different kind of religions and different groups of people, so that's really interesting to see. Third thing is the Roman ruins that are next to it, because yeah, the Romans were here and there are a lot of Roman ruins that were found, especially after the war, I believe, when they were trying to like sort things out. And then the fourth thing, which is opposite the Blue Mosque, is kind of like a dome thing. It kind of looks like, yeah, like an empty dome, very old, like really old actually. In fact, there was a war in Lebanon, if you don't know, between 1975 and 1990, and yeah, that building now is completely empty, but actually at the time when it was built it was kind of like this new thing. I think there was a cinema in there, like a shopping centre, and they haven't wanted to remove it because it does remind them of this. I think there's a lot in Lebanon. I'll show you a few other buildings whilst we're here. There's a lot of buildings in Beirut where some people want to take them down and build on them because it's a lot of space, and space is definitely lacking in this city with the amount of people there are, but then some people want to keep them because obviously it reminds them of the past, it reminds them of pre-war, and it reminds them of the war. Fun fact about this clock tower is that it was put there before the war, but actually when the war started they obviously wanted to protect it, so it got taken down like fully as it is, and moved to a safe place, and then it came back once the war had finished, and like our tour guide was saying the other day, she's like, don't ask me how they moved it, but yeah, they did, which is super impressive. I have just entered into the Beirut Souks. Now these souks are not some old quaint marketplace like you think of as a souk. It is fancy here, very fancy. It's very new. It is from the early 2000s as well, I believe. And yeah, there's the high street stores, also lots of designer brands. Old souks actually used to be in this area before the war, and then when they rebuilt it, they built it into a really modern complex. There's a cinema and things like that, but it's very, very fancy. And right now this is downtown Beirut, so that's something to note. Yeah, downtown Beirut is fancy. But travel tip, there is a free Wi-Fi here that you can connect to. It's not the best, but it's not bad, and also toilets. this building that is behind me, this was built in 1974 and it was a Holiday Inn hotel, and I can only imagine that it was like super fancy at the time because it's absolutely huge. And on the top still see the circle, and that was a revolving restaurant, so really, really fancy. But a year later the war broke out, so everyone had to leave this area, and now it's just an abandoned building. Like I was saying earlier, some people want to take it down, some people want to keep it, so they're not really too sure what's going to happen with it, but it is like a stark reminder of the war, and especially as it's just surrounded by some really, really modern buildings and really modern hotels as well. By the ocean, and although this whole city is by the ocean, you don't actually see it that much because there are a lot of buildings in the way. Unfortunately, there's no cool sea breeze, and guess which British person forgot to put sun cream on? Me, so I'm slowly burning. This is as far as I've been so far, so everything that we see from now on is going to be just as new to me as it is to you, unless you've been here before. So let's go and see some more. Just to the side of me is the area of Hamra, which is where the American University of Beirut is. So I'm gonna go in that area and try and find some lunch because I am very, very hungry. At first I read it that this was maybe like a university for American students, but come to think of it, I think that's probably wrong, and it's more a university that teaches American ways for Lebanese. I don't know, if you do know, let me know in the comments. Doesn't life just take you in the right direction sometimes? So I wanted to get some falafel, and then I went to one place but he didn't have any, so he pointed me in the direction of somewhere else, and so I went up there, and the owner who was there was just so friendly, so nice. He spoke English really well, and the falafel was amazing, and yeah, he was just asking me questions about Lebanon and how I feel about it. And yeah, it was just really, really nice. I'd heard the Lebanese people were really nice here, and to be honest, like I've had a really good experience obviously at where I'm staying with all of the staff, but apart from that I haven't really spoken to that many Lebanese people. I think sometimes people think it's really easy to meet locals when you're away, and people are like, oh, they're really friendly, but it can be quite difficult. So yeah, he just completely like restored my faith in that they're really nice people. Not that I didn't think they were, but I mean, you know what I mean. And yeah, and what was also interesting is that the power went out when we were there. And yeah, I noticed at our hostel really recently as well, and basically that's because they have the government power, but then that doesn't last all day, and they have to get generators, so basically paying for like 2 lots of electricity. And then he said it's the same with the water. They get government water, but then they have to buy more water because that's not enough, so they're paying for like double the amount. Like it's so interesting, you know, obviously coming from the UK where everything's just set in place, and it is good. We moan about some stuff, but it is really good. And here it's just a definite wake-up call that crazy in some places and really, really unfair. But if you are in the Hamra area, then definitely go and check out his falafel place. I would have put the name in here. And right now I am going back to the coast, and I'm going to try and find the famous rocks that everyone takes photos of. Made it to where I wanted to come today. Honestly, apart from the Blue Mosque in Beirut, the only other thing that I'd actually seen photos of were this rock, so I'm very pleased that I've made it here on my last afternoon. And yeah, it's pretty cool. There are lots of like high-rise buildings opposite me. It's a lot busier than what I thought it would be, but I feel like that's just Beirut for you. It's Beirut in general is a lot busier than what I thought it would be. But yeah, it's cool. You can go down there, so that's where I'm going to go next. Instagram reality. This is actually disgusting. Like, I don't even think I'm gonna go to the bottom because it's filled with trash and it stinks. Like, it stinks. So there you go. There's the rocks and there's the reality of it. Okay, I've just come back up to the top, and I obviously don't mean to sound spoiled, and I know it's like no one's particular fault and that they don't really have people to clean up rubbish here and where's it going to go and all of that, but I just feel like it's one of them things where if you constantly show the good bit online and show like, oh, this amazing rock and all the water, then people firstly think it's like that and then they get here and they're disappointed. But secondly, it completely hides the worldwide issues of rubbish and dirt and plastic and everything. So if you don't show it and don't comment on it, so that is me commenting on the fact that there's so much rubbish around here. And yeah, it's not very nice. But yeah, I need to get a taxi. I don't know whether to go into like a Starbucks and get a coffee or a drink because I'm quite hot, and then use their Wi-Fi and get an Uber, or battle with the taxi driver and see how much they charge me. I'll see and I'll let you know. By the way, like this is where I am now on the west, and then that is the Grand Meshmosh Hotel, so there's no way I'm walking back that way. It took me a few hours to get here. Moans about plastic use and being privileged, and then goes and gets a Starbucks. But look at this view. Not bad now, I'm a little bit happier. So I was just in Starbucks and I saw this guy and he had like a whole camera set up, and you know earlier in this video I said I wasn't too sure about having the microphone, yeah, he had like a microphone, a tripod, a huge camera. So I said to him, you know, are you from here? Like, how do you find it with the mic? And it turns out he is Lebanese. He's been living in some other countries, but he lives back in Lebanon now, and he has a YouTube channel, him and his friends, so I will put their links along here. So he's like, oh, have you got a YouTube channel? I say, yeah, I try and make YouTube videos, and I've got a blog. And yeah, and then I went and sat with him and we spoke all things YouTube. I am back at the Grand Meshmosh Hotel after a really good afternoon, so I hope you enjoyed seeing it too, and you've got a bit of a feel for what Beirut is like, and hopefully you're thinking about coming here as well now. So do let me know in the comments if you have found this useful or you think you're going to come here, because I would love to know. And please do give this a thumbs up if you have liked it, and hit subscribe for more travel videos. I am really pleased that I came to Lebanon. Like, yeah, it's just been really interesting, very eye-opening. I really like coming to countries that are slightly less visited, and this is definitely Lebanon. It was a very good 50th country. I will have written a blog post about my trip as well, so I'm going to link those below, and then there'll also be a video just with some more practical information about coming to Lebanon and to Beirut, and then I've also got 2 other vlogs from some day trips that I've done, so be sure to check all of those out as well to get all the information that you need to come here. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video, which is going to be from India. I'm so excited. See you there.